Okay, welcome to CREAC versus IRAC, the movie. It's not going to be quite the smackdown you might be hoping for, but we'll try to keep it interesting. So, in your first semester, you may have been introduced to the IRAC organization paradigm for organizing essays. CREAC is just another extremely similar organization paradigm. It's the one we'll be using in this class in the discussion portion of your memos. And you'll see here in red, we've highlighted the only part that's different, the explanation in your CREAC and that issue statement in your IRAC. That being said, for legal writing, it's also going to be a little bit more involved than what you're doing in your essay exams. So that conclusion is just a one-sentence conclusion regarding whether the claim is met, very similar to that conclusion in IRAC. It's just that you have one at both the beginning and the end. The rule, also very similar to your rule in IRAC. We're going to have a whole class on rule synthesis. Explanation, that's what you all have been working on with me on those explanation paragraphs. So you already have a draft of those and some edits. You'll be popping those into your memo and then adding some additional ones from those other cases that you have. Application, again, very similar to your IRAC application. We'll have some additional classes on that where you get to it more. And I'll talk about it a little bit more in the upcoming slides. And then conclusion. All right, so the conclusion is just a one-sentence conclusion saying whether your client meets the legal standard. The rule, very similar to your previous rule. Again, as I mentioned, we're going to have a class where we go into rule synthesis. Explanation, I like to think of as examples, that there are these little mini narratives that are examples regarding how the rule actually plays out in case law. You know from your explanation assignment that you did that each explanation paragraph, like each case will have its own paragraph, each authority case rather, will have its own paragraph, and each of those paragraphs will have a topic sentence, a transition, for instance, for example, in the such and so case. Then you tell the story of that authority case along with the outcome of that authority case. And here's what that looks like in writing. We have additional examples of these up on TWIM, by the way, over in course materials if you look at the memos. And there's also, I believe, an example on your explanation assignment. So this first, if we were to break it up, we've got this first sentence here. That's the topic sentence. We're going to have an entire class on topic sentence. For now, know that you need to have topic sentences for each of these paragraphs. Some of you have actually done pretty well on those already, which for this stage of the game is awesome. Let's see. Then after that, you would have a citation. In the interest of space, this is just a placeholder. You all have already been working on those citations on your assignment. Then you have a transition that tells the reader, I'm about to give you an example. For example, in the such and so case. For example, in this case. Then you launch into the facts of the authority case that you're explaining. So here, the landowner left an unfinished hotel in a fishing and swimming area 200 feet from the beach and a half a mile from Lake Worth. After fishing, the child plaintiff and his friend decided to explore the hotel where the accident occurred. So you'll see it reads like a little vignette, a little mini story, and it has some very concrete details. It has that exact distance so that if the writer has an exact distance in the writer's problem, the writer can compare distances. There's also some facts, though, from this authority case that are omitted. So, for instance, in this case, it's really awful. I believe the child actually fell down an elevator shaft and died. Well, that's not really relevant to whether a landowner should have known that children would be there. It's relevant to other elements, but those are not the elements being discussed in this CREAC. And so those irrelevant facts are omitted. And then finally, it has the outcome. Notice the outcome isn't necessarily that the element is met or not met, but rather it reflects what happened procedurally, that these facts provided enough evidence for the jury to determine whether that location was accessible. And you'll see that there's a cite after every sentence. Be aware, in explanation of the rule and also rule, I'm looking for a cite at the end of every sentence. And I actually count those up individually and deduct them from the rubric. So the more that are missing, those can add up on you. Okay, so then after that, we have application. As I mentioned, we're going to go into more detail in future classes on application. For now, know that application is where you're comparing the facts of your hypothetical case to those authority cases you just discussed in explanation. So that previous section was only about authority cases. Explanation is only about authority cases. Application, other than your facts portion, is where you will finally bring up our facts, and you'll compare those and distinguish those from the authority cases that you just discussed in explanation. So application is our facts compared to and distinguished from the explanation authority case facts. And we're going to do a lot of exercises on that in upcoming classes. Finally, conclusion, basically the same as your previous conclusion. You can just paraphrase that sentence. All right, I look forward to seeing you in class soon. Bye-bye.